Kia ora e te whānau, no mai haere mai ki te whanganui-a-tara Wellington to the 2025 Division 1 Ultimate Championships. Not quite in Te Whanganui-a-tara in Wellington. We're a little bit north at Ōtākaro Park in Upper Hutt. It is a beautiful rainy day. My name, as always, is Blair Munro. It is a pleasure to be here, joined in the booth
by Avril Tam.
Another Australian import with the ULTI.TV crew brought across to provide you context and commentary for this, the final event of our open season, our open and women ultimate season here in New Zealand. What a great way to cap off the ends of summer. As we move into winter, nice heavy rain starting to fall in. We've got our raincoats on, we've got our plastic up, but our teams on the field, Rocket playing out of the black uniform and the Ōtākaro Punters playing out of the blue, just here relying solely on their body heat and the fire that they have built inside themselves to bring a lot of energy to this opening match for our stream coverage.
Definitely a wet way to start in this Wellington weather. It'll be interesting to see the teams. We know that it does get a little bit windy here as well, but right now not much wind at all. So we'll see if we can get some clean ultimate despite the wet weather.
Great opening pull by Bryn Douglas, but answered back with a great shot from Rocket with a nice 1-2 punch, putting it away. Beautiful and comfortable for Gitmans for the score.
Clean ultimate indeed. Just what we asked for. That was, I think, a 2-shot score. Defense just didn't quite protect that deep space enough and got caught out the back. It was a beautiful weighted shot in the end. The receiver having plenty of time, not needing to break stride and running on straight to the disc.
Yeah, just a really, really clean offensive hold there for Rocket. So they go up by 1. Kei mua mā te kotahi, up by 1. Now, it's important to recognize that the opening few points of a game of Ultimate, I've always likened them to the sort of first round in a boxing match. Players trading jabs, trying to test the weaknesses. Rocket doing a great job early, establishing a strong, deep threat that now the Ōtākaro Punters have to respect.
For sure, and with the games this weekend being 90 minutes soft cap, first to 15, it's certainly a long game, like you said, Blair, just sussing each other out, seeing what they've got to show, and then just adjusting the defense around that.
Great shot through to Chung, working in with the resets. Another nice way to eat up the field early. We're seeing a pick called by Mackenzie. We're seeing the signals from Mackenzie. Great to see the players demonstrating those hand signals. Now, Avril, for the folks watching at home who might not be aware, this might be their first time watching Ultimate, in which case, lucky you. A pick, what does that mean?
Yeah, so Ultimate is a non-contact sport. Although we know that there is some incidental contact, but it is non-contact and players do their best to maintain that. In terms of defense, so if their offensive player is within 3 meters, and that's a fantastic bid, but that is a turn and a break opportunity.
Great bid by Chung, but it's not going to be enough. But as you were saying, Avril, players where their defensive pursuit of their counterpart is inhibited by the position of another player. Huge layout, not going to be enough. They're turning it back over on the doorstep. Sawyer Blair with a beautiful assist.
Fantastic, getting the break opportunity on the doorstep, but then giving it straight back and then just a strike and a little dishy.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk a lot in Ultimate about Huck and D, putting up, some big shots. Now, admittedly, that was a very patient offense by Ōtākaro, the Punters there. Working, slight overthrow. They got the turn. They recognize what they have to do. They switch back on, really put the pressure on defense, generate the turn, and nice quick closeout. We see it again. It was that slight overthrow.
Yeah, have a fantastic bids both ways here. One to save the disc here, and here also just knowing that it was fading away from the player. That's always a really difficult trailing edge to catch.
It was a nice opening. It was a great attempt there by Rocket to try and use the width of the field. They had a reset handler on our near sideline in a good position, as well as a great aggressive undercut with a lot of separation.
Yeah, sometimes with a slippery disc, though, it is really tricky, you know, when that release point is not quite what you want and it just comes off a bit early or a bit late.
So
we see the rosters come up on screen here.
The Ōtākaro Punters. Now, we've seen a few of these names throughout a variety of tournaments over the years, and already O'Hara, Worden, some classic Southland players, some stalwarts of the Southern Ultimate scene. We're seeing a bit of a zone defense here from the Ōtākaro Punters.
Absolutely. It looks like it might be a 3-3-1. So you can see mostly at that front space, the defenders really trying to clog that up and limit any forward motion, although they get through the first wall there.
Big touch by McFarlane to generate the turn. Phenomenal work. Zone doing exactly what it does, slowly closing down those windows, forcing those narrower throws. We see that one touch. Nice recentering pass. McFarlane does a great job handling on any team that he's on. We always find him getting stuck in the thick of it. Goes back with Jack Lewis.
Lovely throw and go. Just small movement using that space so well.
McFarlane with the outside peel, curving back in to find a wide open Campbell Nauman right at the front corner of the end zone on the far side. And so, after a great opening hold by Rocket, now with I believe that was a break opportunity, so we've gone up by one the other way. A nice 2-point swing for the Ōtākaro Punters.
Fantastic. You saw them generate that early turn, really pushing that zone working effectively. As you can see here, we have, you know, squeezing them into that far sideline and then just that wide hand, just getting a touch of it, deflecting the disc. Had a pretty short field to work with. They're using this small ball, quick give and go movement, means that the defenders are always on the back foot.
I'm a huge fan of watching this style of play, Avril. I think that particularly as we're seeing a lot of players like in the American scene and with sort of the high-profile UFA that they've got.
I think the Colombian teams are a really great example.
Absolutely. I mean, that tick-attack play, but also that like half-pivot backhand from the offhand release. We're seeing a lot more versatility. Players coming in with a wider bag. And, I mean, a lot of the time it's just really hard for the defense to answer it. Brent Douglas with another monster pull. Oh. Right in the back of the end zone.
Pins him to that death corner. Although there might be a bit of a call and chat, may have rolled out the back, so lucky save there.
Great opportunity here for Rocket by the skin of their teeth, no longer in Callahan country. Cuts developing in the downfield. A reset, sealed. It's high and overhead. It's not going to come through, but there's a foul that's been called on the play.
I was going to say there was a play earlier which generated a turn on the end zone line, so wouldn't be surprised if that happened again. But here we go with a high release. Again, the slippery conditions, making it difficult to get good control. And there was a foul there, so perhaps the defender had infringed, but looks like it's a retracted foul, so the play will stand.
Turnover will stand. Yeah, I think the judgment being there that when we had that defensive player from the Punters closing in, there may have been a little bit of hands on the back to just protect them as they fell down. Leach goes around, finds Douglas. Back to Leach, two men working in the upfield space. Goes wide, finds Worden, far sideline, snapshot, around, finds Lewis. Nothing developing in the downfield. Wide open cut there, looked off, goes around. Great score by Ōtākaro Punters. It's going to be Lewis to Douglas as they go up by 2. Now, we were actually speaking a little bit earlier in the day, Admiral, about how when you have players who have spent a lot of time together on the same sort of team through the youth space, the U20, the U24s, you start to see those connections really develop in the open season. And occasionally, unfortunately, we see it carry over to the mixed season. But again, Douglas and Lewis have played together for a pretty long period of time on a national level, so seeing those connections unfold in that open space, not really uncommon. It'll be good to see what Rocket do to provide an answer to some of those really dialed-in connections.
Yeah, for sure. And as you build chemistry over the years, you know what each other want. You know the strengths in terms of the throw. You know the spaces that they're looking for. So, like I said, can take advantage of that high chemistry. But, you know, it is a team sport, and you need 7 players who are all contributing onto the field. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out. You know, will they be working through those, you know, established connections, or will we see some new talent coming through? We know we've got the under-24s tournament coming up, World Under-24s coming up middle of this year. So I'm sure, you know, the New Zealand teams are building some strong talent through their youth pathways too.
And as it is, steel sharpens steel. And so we're seeing these teams come to this open division here for the Division 1 Championship, really taking an opportunity to fight hard, to work hard. While for a lot of players, this is going to be the culmination of their season. As you mentioned, we've got world events coming up. For some of these, this is going to feel a little bit like a warm-up. But that focus needs to be dialed in. A game can only be played one point at a time. A huge bid by Clark, but it's not going to work.
And just a standard match defense here for Punters on Rocket. Rocket, unfortunately, the stall count's getting high. They're not liking the initial options. So the defense obviously doing a very good job to cover their initial looks.
One touch, but it's recovered. Great take there by Schultz. Working through, and the conservation of greatness applies. We see an immediate turnover. With the wet, the teams have to stay dialed in. Disc is slippery. Nauman with the left hand goes to McFarlane, near side. Defense trying to shut down the inside of the field. Finds Babcock O'Neill.
Rocket are doing a much better job in this sequence of plays to try to get them to hold the disc. You know, they saw those give-goes, that quick working through, doing really well to create, you know, higher stall count throws.
On the near sideline now, Babcock O'Neill goes around, finds McFarlane right on the doorstep. A 1-2 through. Ōtākaro Punters up by 3. Kei mua mā te toru.
Although the Punters scored this one, you can see the defense, you know, forcing the throwers to throw stall count 3, 4 and beyond. In the end, just the up the line strike in power position, and just beats his opponent to the cone there. The receiver, Tony Clark.
Absolutely, Avril. I mean, we're going to see a timeout get called here. Now's about the time you'd see a timeout be called. One team goes up by 3. Rocket need to reconsolidate. But they were doing, as you say, such a better job on defense on that point. Instead of that nice fluid motion that we saw from the Ōtākaro Punters, instead we saw more disjointed small sequences of passes. 1, 2 passes, and the momentum stops. The defense closes it down. It's making the Punters really have to work hard to create those openings, and even when they're there, they're not able to capitalize on them in the way that they could in the early points. We've got some great names here on the Rocket defense. We have Reddings, who was doing a great job in that handler space on Rocket's last offensive possession. Schultz, Nankevel, Simkin, Mead, Hosokawa. Some great names that we've seen at this and several other tournaments of this level throughout the past few years. Keep in mind, Rocket, one of 2 teams from the northern region, their partner team group, who we'll probably be seeing a little bit later on in the tournament.
Yeah, and I know the scoreboard says 4-1, but it's only really, you know, stopping the momentum now. They've had 3 breaks in a row. I think, although Rocket weren't successful in getting a block that point, I think they would be pleased with their defense. I think, you know, sometimes we said it's a long game. You just got to chip away, apply that pressure, let that build, and that will pay dividends towards the end of the game. So you just got to stay in touch now, I think, is the real key.
Yeah, it's like, particularly when we're looking at defense, it's about communication too, right? We've got to kind of, like I say we're not on the field, Avril.
I'm glad we're not, to be honest.
in weather like this, I couldn't agree more. That level of energy, recognizing, hey, if someone's got a great head of steam and they've got an opportunity for a layout bid, when they make that play, they're going to be out of position. What can I do as their teammate to support that decision and shut down the option that they're giving up by making that aggressive attempt to generate the turn? Yep.
All right, so we'll see what Rocket can do out of this timeout. What are they going to do to try and stymie the flow? They just need a clean hold. That's the first thing. Stay focused. Make sure you've got 2 hands on the disc. You are throwing and catching, just the basics, and then work hard to get that break.
Huge chase down on defense. Touches down, center field. Picked up, nice quick centering pass. Low, pushing towards the far sideline. Upline cut, looked off in favor of a centering reset, miscommunication, but it's kept alive, sends the big shot up. It's covered. Nauman underneath it, not going to let them have it. There's the turn. Douglas available as an option, pushing deep. Big shot goes up. Douglas on that early cut with the read and the score.
Fantastic throw and score there. And you see the celebrations. Trying to stay warm there.
A beautiful put by Harrison Leach. Nice amount of float under that for an early cutting Douglas. We can see him peel off out of the screen just now. Big shot put up. Lot of air underneath it. Douglas with a great read. Rocket defense in good position, but it's not going to be enough as the disc peels away from the pursuing defender.
Yeah, as we see that throw again, just this effortless flick huck. Beautiful shape here, plenty of float. Also managed to keep it in too, which was a real feat. But you can see the receiver kind of pushed his defender a little bit under the disc, boxed him out, and then just easy read the fall really well. Interesting that both teams in that point went for a big shot. Obviously not working out for Rocket, but I like that look. You know, the couple of turns they've had have been much more shallow and have given the punters a short field to work with. But at least this one, you know, made them work a little bit harder. And I think sometimes when you throw the long shots, even if they don't go off, it puts the other team on notice, you know, to say, like, we've actually got this big game too. Don't try to cheat and beat us under because we can really spread the field.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw Rocket on that offensive point there playing a reasonably conservative initiation phase for their offense. Didn't really seem to work out. They managed to recover, recognize, hey, I don't want to play in my own half. Let's make something big happen. Osakawa.
Oh, and a huge layout block. That is just a regulation dump gone wrong.
Great work by Chung. It's Blair to pick up. Goes back, finds Leach. A little miscommunication, but he manages to reel that one in. Not Leach, sorry, Dempster. Goes through, finds O'Hara. Playing in loving memory of Ollie Markwell, who we have on good authority, is not dead, just like that disc. What a slide. Can't quite establish a pivot foot, has to step back outside. Little air bounce finish for an additional point on the board for the Ōtākaro Punters. Just in case anyone had a heart attack the same way I just did after watching that recovery. A reminder, Ollie Markwell's not dead, he's just overseas.
Some remarkable plays there.
Oh my God,
incredible. Incredible layout bids. You know, just thought that easy jump behind. Here we go, watching this chain of events in the score. Just that lovely inside and just slides about 3 meters forward. On the end zone here, just keeps calm.
A combination of the explosive momentum and the miserable conditions in which these teams are playing. Now again, no amount of rain is going to be enough to put out the fire that burns within these athletes coming here to compete for you. Are you not entertained?
And so the punters certainly looking in the prime position to take this game. That is now 5 break points in a row. So that timeout not really having the effect that Rocket would have hoped. Where can they find their ignition to try and take off?
I mean, that is the question, and hopefully we're going to start to see it. A lot of teams, we saw this a lot last weekend with the Division 2 championships in Ōtākaro Christchurch. Teams really coming out and firing in the second half. We saw quite a lot of teams, they still ended up going down, but performed much better in the second half than they did in the first. Rocket might be a late stage booster here on display for the first day of our championship. And
you never know, the rain is coming down harder and harder. You can see the splashes as the players are running through the field. So maybe these might favour, you know, their strengths.
Nice little slippery break throw, doesn't quite come away. Lee with the touch. It's Lewis to Nauman, right on the doorstep. Goes for Muldrew and the score. Nauman to Muldrew. Beautiful work by the Ōtākaro Punters to take them 1 point away from half. Again, Rocket, all the pieces are there. They're hitting their breaks. They're managing to get a lot of these connections just for whatever reason. Those windows, it's like the punters have read this book before and they've come back around for a second attempt.
As we get a close-up here. Again, just that dump, and that's a very small window to try to throw through. You can see the dump defense is set up really well to prevent that behind. And then you can see that defender from downfield just sneak in, get a little hand on there, knowing that that window was what they were going to go for. So, as you said, anticipating and predicting.
I love that reset cut, though. The separation. We're going to get to see it again. Hammers on the brakes. Manages to get a bite out of Lewis. If it were not for Justin Lee, Rocket would have held, and who knows what they could have done. The potential on their team, that could have been a point that they needed. But Lee gets in the way by way of Nauman finding Muldrew in the end zone for the score to take them one away from half. We're only 19 minutes into our 90-minute soft cap.
Yeah, the Punters certainly making quick work of this game. I'm sure they want to try and finish it quickly to get out of the wet. Let's see what Rocket can do before the half ends.
I'm suspecting that the Ōtākaro Punters skipped breakfast because they are hungry this morning. Big pull as it fades back towards the midfield. So Rocket with a little bit of a positional advantage. We've got Reddings left-handed, finds one touch. No attempt on the second one. Oh, there it is. That's what Rocket needed to get it back. Great touch there. Simkin resets to Reddings. Big fake, hoping for something to develop in the midfield. Doesn't quite come. Pushes towards the near sideline instead. Goes around. Sawyer Blair with the touch. That's going to be enough. Starts to push deep. Big shot. Doesn't come up. Looks for an option instead. Finds far sideline. Blair again with it. Laser shot up the sideline. McKenzie to Francis for the score. What a great sequence there for Ōtākaro Punters as they take half. Only 20 minutes in. A strong string of breaks. In fact, one Rocket hold off a big shot. The last 8 points have been dominated by the Punters.
As you can see here, fantastic D. Just reaching out, getting the shoulder just in front. Just not finding any connections at the moment, Rocket. And you can see just that, you know, getting that step, and not quite attacking the disc. And they make quick work. I think every time they've managed to get the disc on D, most of them have been clean breaks bar one.
And just absolutely phenomenal to see by the Punters. One of the things that I was had drilled into me when I was starting out as a player was there are two places to stop a disc. There are two places to generate a turn. At the hands of the receiver or in the eyes of the thrower. And I think that's one of the best things that our downfield defense for the Punters have been really doing. They've been close just enough to those cuts right on the shoulder, and it's enough to discourage the thrower from taking that option.
Yeah, I think it's credit to both the downfield receivers reading the disc well, but also the marks and those dump defense players who are actually creating and forcing into the space that they want. So, as you said, Blair, that is 7 breaks straight, and that is very menacing. Certainly the Punters really punishing Rocket in this first half.
One might even go so far as to say puntishing. No, they wouldn't. No one would go that far. But yeah, just a little on-screen highlight for you. Yes, exactly as you said, Avril. All of the Punters' breaks, bar one, were clean. Once they had the disc, once they were able to generate their turnover, they didn't give the disc back. And ultimately, in what is a game of turnovers, the team that makes fewer turnovers wins. So Punters doing a great job, really, really clean offense off the break, which is just huge to see. And it all started here. Yeah,
all of these huge layout attempts. I mean, Rockets had a couple, but you just feel like the energy level's not quite as high. You know, the acceleration towards a disc just isn't quite as crisp. So I'm hoping that they can gather themselves in this halftime break and really try and bring it up. As we said, they had a couple of good defensive looks. I'm really hoping that they can really use that momentum and try and generate, do what, the Punters are doing by trying to control the space and direct them into the space that they want to so they can get those block opportunities.
And it is a game of two halves for a reason. So once these teams take the field again after a short break, hopefully they're not trying to take too much time to dry down. It's not going to do them much good in weather like this. But it's perfect weather for layouts. And we've seen quite a few of them. So a lot of energy left in the tank for both of these teams. It's currently very heavily favouring the punters, but as I am known for saying, until the last point is scored, it's anyone's game. So we'll be back after a short break with the exciting conclusion of this opening match for the 2025 Ultimate Championships Division 1. My name is Blair Monroe.
And Avril Tam.
We'll be back soon. And a rocket pull touches down, fielded early by O'Hara as they open the second half of the match. It's Sawyer Blair with the disc. Center field goes back to O'Hara. We're seeing a rocket zone coming down.
I like this look by Rocket, needing to chase things up, and they generate an immediate turn. That 3-3-1 working, paying immediate dividends for Rocket in the second half.
Rocket coming through with the late stage boosters, applying enough pressure that O'Hara can't get it in the midfield. Will they be able to hold on to this one?
Oh, and almost a save, just falls through the hands.
O'Hara on redemption, immediately pushing into a deep cut. We're seeing Clark work with Blair, far sideline. Big shot, goes up. Reeled in, what a take. McKenzie for the score from O'Hara.
And Rocket, although generating that one opportunity, and that was a, one-third field.
Into the possession
yes,
as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was a real shame that they couldn't convert that break. But you know what? They've proven that they can get the disc off the Punters' offense, and that is a win for the first half. I think that's really set the tone. As we see here, they're just running away here, Punters. That quick give-go movement, barely waiting for a couple of stall counts, and that sweeping, arcing flick around to the fat side of the field that is open all day. And the Punters looking like there is no rain at all. Their offense is just looking clean as you like.
And now the Punters to come down on defense. They've seen Rocket open up with a zone, and a zone that worked incredibly effectively in that initiation play. Great work by O'Hara to generate that disc back. He's one of those really hungry players who's going to work hard after a turn. It happened to pay off for him this time, but Rocket, as you say, Avril, they've managed to identify a chink in the armor of the punters. They've managed to find something that they can exploit, and we'll see whether or not, if they can get a hold here, they can swing back the other way.
That's a nice floaty pull, but just slides out of bounds. Suspect that'll be a brick. And so brick being a mark in the center of the field, a third in. So for any pulls that go out of bounds, the offense do have the option of taking it from where it left the sideline or from that brick position.
Readings pushes to the far sideline. The centering pass is bobbled. Punters with a chance here. McFarlane decides to holster, uncorks it, goes deep, looking for it. Hits Josh Cooper on a one-pass offense after the turn. Great work by the punters, the same clinical play we've seen from them so far.
Clinical indeed. Another clean point here immediately after the break. So that dump just gone awry. And another lovely flick huck. The flick hucks are working incredibly well today for the punters. And we have there Josh Cooper, number 66, who lost out to Chungi in a bare knuckle box for shirt number 6. So having to resort to the double digits there, but certainly making quick work of that lovely shot. Punter's going to punt.
And honestly, I mean, with a catch like that, you've got to wonder how Josh Cooper's hands weren't enough to win that boxing match. So as the punters shatter the double-digit barrier for the first time in the match, first opening match, and what a display of ultimate it is. Rocket on the back foot, but 5 points left before the punters walk away with the win. So there's a lot of time left for them to use. Douglas with another big pull.
For sure. I think a lot of those dump sets have gone awry. Oh, and that's a drop pull. That is an absolute heartbreaker.
So that, in the context of the rules, there's going to be an automatic turnover. So the punters with a great shot here, right on the doorstep, and we've seen how well they can close in moments like this.
That is not what you need if you're a Rocket fan, and I would expect a really quick score here for the punters to really nail in the coffin. And a bladey shot.
Beautiful around.
Seems like they're throwing anything they like at the moment, and it's connecting.
Great little phone booth cut there from McFarlane.
And that bladey flick, you know, just falling away from the receiver, but somehow he reads it and gets his hands on the top of the rim just to control that. And that is McFarlane. He's got a goal and 2 assists and a block to his name, so certainly getting really big in this game for the punters.
Just phenomenal work by both of those players. Again, we've seen them quite a few times throughout the course of previous years' tournaments. We've seen what kind of performance they can put on. And again, those connections are just there. That blade, good grief. It's a nicely fielded catch there.
Yeah, I think at the moment it seems to be the dump sets of the Rockets that are failing, right? Like they've missed a few connections, and then because they missed a connection, it's a really short field for the punters to work with. I think, you know, if it's not working, they've got to find some other way to create that, you know, safer throw, or maybe just look upfield and try and connect to those downfield players. You know, if it gets turned, they've at least got some better field position to play from.
Well, I mean, and we mentioned a little bit earlier the sort of concept of Huck and D. Rocket have been able to pour on a great zone. And so where it's those short passes that are generating those turnovers for them, maybe they could send it long, apply a lot of pressure on the reset, hope that it's a short field for them to close out. Might be enough to change the momentum for them in the match.
And they're working their way pretty well at this point, Rocket. Just swinging the disc, using the space in front. Oh, and some acceleration now. We see some life up the line, power position, on the doorstep now. And finally, Rocket get their second score for the game, showing some life here, and see the boys get around him. That is Schultz.
Schultz to Gitmans for the score.
And we see the replay here. A lovely grab from just behind him, but we can see the receiver's really attacking that disc all the way into the hands, making sure of the catch, and just some upline power position play, defenders trailing behind. That's always so difficult to stop.
Now, something that I do want to draw a lot of attention to is just how well both of the players on that defensive cut that was split through the middle by Simpkin, just how well they were able to peel back and avoid unnecessary contact.
Yeah, that's a fantastic play. I think, most of their offensive sets have been playing with the 3 handlers behind and then the 4 downfield. I think if, judging by that play, they've been using that movement from behind, pushing up. If that's working for them, keep using it. You can have 3, you can have even 4 behind the disc to generate some of the forward momentum. So maybe that's something that we can see the Rocket offense do more towards the latter stages of this game.
Just a quick correction as well as we get into this next possession for the punters. Rocket really applying that zone pressure again. That was not Gitmans with the score, that was Pantanople. Someone needs to have a chat to the Groot and Rocket uniform designers for putting 0-8 on the back of a shirt in rainy weather. O'Hara near sideline, working back to the middle with Dempster. Clark.
I like this zone. It's an arrowhead, so forcing the punters to go side to side. And as you can see here, just clogging up that space just in front of the disc. So they're not really gaining many meters, just side to side. I really like this look.
Nice quick 1-2 punch, but the zone is doing a great job of closing. Blair and Chung working sideline.
Finally, they get some meters, but they're trapped to this far sideline.
That's something that I am loving from the zone is how they are pushing towards whatever sideline the disc is closest to.
And finally, they get one through the cup and then sweeps across, knocking now. And that's a quick flip that was so fast I couldn't quite see who got the score.
That was O'Hara with the take. And Tony Clark with the assist there. So great work. I mean, O'Hara was doing a huge amount of work in the upfield space. He was in the center. We see it again. Now he's starting to work in.
Just checking which line was the end zone line. There's a couple on field there. But here we go, just attacking that upline cut in that space in front.
Now, Everell, I find it interesting, and maybe you can provide a bit of context on this one. That zone stayed as a zone structure all the way throughout. Is that something you'd typically see in an end zone defensive structure?
Certainly not typical. I know that some teams are employing this method, to try and slow things down all the way, make them swing side to side. I guess the purpose of this zone is to make them throw lots of passes, right? And then eventually one of the passes, you're hoping that it's not going to be complete. So it's not an aggressive zone in that you're not trying to hunt for the block per se. You're just trying to generate pressure on the offense to essentially turn the disc.
Right.
So I'm a little surprised that they opted to carry the zone all the way until the end, because without that kind of more aggressive hunting, I guess, that space that ended up being used is really difficult to stop. So
where that arrowhead was set up, it kind of left a channel for that cut from O'Hara to put that point on the board. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so punters to come back down on defense. Now these, speaking of hunting, that's what we're seeing a lot from. They're playing a really aggressive match defense predominantly, trusting their athleticism, trusting their skills and their knowledge to apply a huge amount of pressure to the individual matchups.
I have to say, the pulls have been really impressive as well. Plenty of float, plenty of height, really allowing the defense to get set and put pressure on, before that first pass. Oh, and a lovely upline strike, but that one is just bobbled. I think he spent it before he had it.
And just like Sonny and Cher, Douglas centre field with it, supported by McFarlane, decides to go long, finds Worden. Nauman on the far sideline with a left hand. Can't get around the defense, has to recenter, finds McFarlane, takes it. Laser show. Back to Nauman up the far sideline for a great score to take them 2 away from winning in the opening match of our Division 1 championships.
It's just smooth offense. What can you say? I mean, certainly the quick disc movement, the give goes, throwing immediately. I think that's, credit to the downfield players and the receivers timing their cuts really well, so that, immediately when the thrower looks up, they're ready to receive in that space. And, we talked about some of that chemistry as well, working well. Those connections certainly paying dividends for the punters.
I love this offensive play here by Nauman. So the reset pushes into the deep space, gets a few steps behind his defense to give a channel for McFarlane to put that outside in shot to curve around. So just using the depth of the end zone available to them to put that to put that throw out into space. Going to see in that bottom right hand corner McFarlane on a plus minus of 5 at the moment. 1 goal, 3 assists, 1 block throughout the course of the game, no turns.
Very, very clean, as we said. I mean, look, I think other than putting on that zone on defense, I think the other way to maybe try and just switch things up a little is maybe force backhand. We've seen the force flick, and we've seen the punters have these beautiful flick shots, both in the long space, but also those, quicker give-go options. I mean, it's always quicker to flow a flick. They come through, whereas backhand, you can kind of like a delay, and that is pinned all the way to the back of the end zone. Punters hunting for an early block here, maybe even a Callahan opportunity. Oh, and a Callahan it is for the Punters.
He's only gone and done it, an assistless score.
And that is Ollie Taylor with the Callahan. Taylor and the Punters ramping through to finish off this game.
Only 40 minutes on the clock. Team Punters 1 away from a win. Just a beautiful play there. The only way to beat a Callahan on point 14 is with a Callahan on point 15. Phenomenal work by Taylor. Just great vision. I mean, as you said, Avril, they were hunting for a block, and they got one. But they got it in the defensive end zone for Rocket, so it's going to take them 1 away from a win here. Nice, strong opening. Punters going to be riding high on this next one. There's a lot of momentum behind a team after an impressive performance like that. Nauman with the disc. Parked up on the far side. The mighty lefty. Huge big rip goes up. Touches down, picked up by Reddings.
Gosh, you can tell that Rocket are nervous when they're letting a pool drop to the ground like that. It's just this insane pressure. Oh, and another turnover. You can just see that pressure continuing to affect Rocket as a team, and a short pull. This one for the win.
Douglas, inside shot, finds Babcock O'Neill. Fakes for Douglas to develop something. It doesn't happen. Has to go for a reset instead. Working around. Babcock O'Neill can't hit him on the strike cut. Goes back center field for Lewis for the score and the game. That's gonna do it, folks. The Ōtākaro Punters 15 over Rockets 2. The opening match of your 2025 Division 1 Ultimate Championships in Te Whanganui-a-Tara, Wellington, or a little bit further north at Awakairangi Park. The weather is miserable, but the Frisbee is beautiful. My name is Blair Monroe.
And it is Avril Tam signing off for Game 1.
Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back soon.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
ULTI.TV